Hello, everyone. Let's continue in Genesis 9. The New World Order. Before I begin with this, oh no, wait a minute. That's not even right. We're on 8. Genesis 8. I just kind of want to skip over things, I guess. I saw something today, and I kind of inspired me. I'll make these videos whenever, however many I get in, this, that. I'm all alone right now, taking care of things in the house. A couple things more I need to do, but it can wait. It won't go nowhere. It'll be right there waiting for me to do it, right? That's one of those things. So, the flood subsides. The flood subsides. I just saw something where I had to say, the question was, what phrase did you hear the most from your parents? And it took me a moment. I thought, okay, so I had one parent, my mom, right? It took me a moment. I'm thinking. And the only thing I could think of was, let's pray. Because we were taught, you sit down to a meal, which we did 3 every day, though my mom worked from morning till night, and at night sometimes. We had 3 square meals on the table every day. Simple meals, but they were there. We all sit together at the table. Everybody, there was no, I'm not hungry right now. That didn't happen. We were all always hungry. And when mealtime came around, maybe a little different than it is now, right? Yes? And that was, you didn't start eating. You waited till mom sat down. She said, let's pray. And it wasn't a big old, it was just thanking for the food, thank you for, and giving God some praise, right? It was always very quick, simple, let's pray. Then during certain times of the year, let's pray. We all sit on the couch, and mom would pray or sing a song with us. We all knew the songs too. And I remember, oh my gosh, it was, at the time when I was a child, I always wanted to be really good about praying, okay? Well, that's just how I was. I didn't see anything. Nothing was ever forced on us, per se. It was not, I didn't feel that way. As far as I know, my brother and sister, they didn't either. Yeah, it's kind of when you're wrestling or you're playing a game, and my mom says, okay, guys, come on now, it's time to pray. Let's pray. Right? You go, right now? Okay, but we didn't, I don't remember any of us ever not following the order, per se, right? I remember sitting on that couch so many times. And my mom would start praying, or talk about something about the Bible for all of us, always talking to God. She was always talking to God. I think that's where I learned how to talk to God, or Jesus. She loved Jesus. Jesus was it in her life, right? And of course, Jesus always included God as well. And my brother and sister, usually it was my mom in the middle, then my brother and my sister, and I was on the other side of mom. It was always like this. And here go my brother and sister, start nudging each other. And then they start giggling or something, right? And my mom would keep going, and I'd go, shh, hey guys, and they just, okay, few seconds, and then it start again, right? Kind of thing. And, and it was like, and then mom goes, okay guys, come on now, and never yelling at them or anything. It was never like that, because it happened just by every time, okay? And mom would continue going, and then so my brother and sister listen for a few minutes, then something start up again. And here I'm trying to stay, no, I'm not going to get into that, every time too. It was every time the same thing. And here goes my mom. Right? Starts to giggle, right? Couldn't help herself, right? Because even though she was praying, she's still paying attention to her children. And eventually, she get just about to the end of the prayer, not quite yet, and we're all bursting out laughing. All of us, just laughing. And And my mom could laugh, you wouldn't believe. I mean, she just, and suddenly it was just like these laughing fits that we were having. Amazing, just wonderful. Yeah. So then she go, okay. We did a little breathing, this, and she says, we got to finish up. And then we would finish up. So I saw that. What was the phrase most used by your parents? Let's pray. I found that religion in my life, per se, I call it God and Jesus in our lives, right, and spirit world, was a great time for me as a child. Maybe because I had a parent that understood. Okay, children are learning in all this, right, as well. And she couldn't help herself either, being a part of the laughter. Right? So then I started looking through the comments. And I'm going, oh my gosh. I did not find one. So I wrote in, let's pray. Then I went through the comments. Oh, let's see what other people said. It was all negative. It was all things that, threats, horrible things to say to a child. And I thought, was I supposed to find a horrible thing? I couldn't. I tried something that my mom said all the time that was negative. I thought, and I couldn't come up with anything. That was interesting, don't you think? Well, anyway, so let's read. Oops. The flood subsides, Genesis 8. But God had Noah in mind, and all the wild animals and all the cattle that were with him in the ark. God sent a wind across the earth. Oh, it's windy right now. Quite a bit. Oh. And the waters began to subside. The springs of the deep and the sluices of heaven were stopped up, and the heavy rain from heaven was held back. Little by little, the waters ebbed from the earth. After 150 days, the waters fell. And in the 7th month, on the 7th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Oh, well, they know where it landed. The waters gradually fell until the 10th month, when, on the first day of the 10th month, the mountain tops appeared. I was thinking on the one that I read before, the 15 cubic feet. Who measured that? How did they know that at that time, right? Again, okay, I'm not so far off saying that. What are these stories, and how should they be applied in our life? What is the truth and belief in these stories, right? Oh, so the stories are lies? No. How did God apply his teachings and guidance? In what way? Right? Yes? At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the ark and released a raven, which flew back and forth as it waited for the waters to dry up on earth. He then released a dove to see whether the waters were receding from the surface of the earth. But the dove, finding nowhere to perch, returned to him in the ark, for there was water over the whole surface of the earth. Putting out his hand, he took hold of it and brought it back into the ark with him. After waiting 7 more days, he again released the dove from the ark. In the evening, the dove came back to him, and there in its beak was a freshly picked olive leaf. How did that olive leaf survive? After the waters had just receded. Freshly picked? Okay, I'm just saying. So Noah realized that the waters were receding from the earth. Could it just been something, right? Yeah, well, I bet there was a lot of debris floating around after all this. The waters are receding. Don't know. So Noah realized that the waters were receding from the earth. After waiting 7 more days, he released the dove, and now it returned to him no more. Oh. Well. That's an interesting one, too. One could talk about, but, It was in the 601st year of Noah's life, in the first month, and on the first of the month, that the waters began drying out on earth. Noah lifted back the hatch of the ark and looked out. The surface of the ground was dry. In the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. Okay. Again, how did he know? I guess so. I mean, they disembark. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you, your wife, your sons, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out all the animals with you, all living things, the birds, the cattle, and all the creeping things that creep along the ground, for them to swarm on earth, for them to breed and multiply on earth." So Noah came out with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives, and all the wild animals, all the cattle, all the birds, and all the creeping things that creep along the ground came out of the ark, one species after another. Then Noah built an altar to Yahweh, and choosing from all the clean animals and all the clean birds, he presented burnt offerings on the altar. Yahweh smelt the pleasing smell and said to himself, "Never again will I curse the earth because of human beings, because their heart contrives evil from their infancy. Never again will I strike down every living thing as I have done. As long as earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." You want to say so much to this right now. There seems to be something about offerings, right? Physical offerings to God. And we went through that with Cain and Abel as well. Now, we know there are some really horrific things that happen when it comes to offerings to whomever. And I can't see quite on how this is not a man-made thing. I don't believe that God requires any kind of offerings like that from us. I could see that once they got out of the ark, right? Oh, yes, started building their homes again. This now, okay, again. So what are we talking here? Moved on to a place where then, okay, this is it, and had a feast. Yes? And the contentment and happiness of Noah's family, right? Being away from bullies, being away from being tempted into certain things, right? That were so prominent that before the flood, that was difficult to keep. Your peace of mind, the peace in your home, the peace around you, right? Yes? Now, they are someplace where we can be free. Not unlike when, I guess, the pilgrims came here first, going to a new land. Why? It is said the reason many came here because they wanted a new start. Kind of the same here. The offerings. Oh, Thanksgiving. Yes. Yeah. All right. Oh. Not everything went hunky-dory there either, right? Yeah, very quickly things turned sour there, in a way. When it came to covenant with God. I guess we'll find out how that worked out for Noah farther down. With what I said in the beginning, right, with this, what phrase do you remember? What did your parents say the most? And amazing, with how much negativity the people came up with. How much of that has then stayed in those children's lives that grew up and went on to become adults? That's what they remember. Being asked a question like that. Isn't that interesting? Again, I wonder where the people's heart to mind is. I only had one parent. But I had a wonderful parent. And it would never occur to me to dwell on the negative. There may have been some too. I'm sure there were. I know there were, but that was a rare thing. That was not a common, everyday thing. But I remember the one thing I heard the most, I remember, was always that, let's pray. That was a wonderful thing. My mom said, the most, I guess, that I remember when it came to that question. Grateful for my mom. All right. Well, that's all I have to share on this one. And God's love and blessings always. I think it's important to examine a little bit the mindsets that we are in when it comes to certain things, don't you think? Well, I found that in that question after I went through the comments going, oh, I guess I failed the assignment. All right. God's love and blessings always, and I will talk to y'all another time.